Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! Resolve. In the last episode, we paid a visit home and had a look around, and yeah, it was really weird because Mr. Sholmes actually dyed his hair red to pay for his rent. I know it sounds stupid, it was stupid, but fun. So if you haven't watched that episode, just go back in the playlist if you watch this via the playlist that I put up. Otherwise, you can check that out in the description down below where you can find all the parts for this play session of, not this play session, but this playthrough of Great Attorney Chronicles. And on my channel, you can also find the playlist for the first game. But it doesn't matter because right now we are here at Lord Strongheart's office. And we are about to talk to him, which we were actually supposed to do in the first place, but we had a little detour and that's okay. And look who is also in his office. It's Barak van Zeeks. So this might turn out to be something special here. So let's see. It's the 1st November at the British Supreme Court Lord Chief Justice's office.
Here's the final draft of the opening address for tomorrow's proceedings. I've supplemented your original with the figures you asked from the yard.
I see. Excellent work. Thank you.
You're welcome, my lord.
What's Lord van Zeeks doing here?
My, there seems to be an awful lot of tension in the air, wouldn't you say?
This place is stifling enough as it is. We really don't need any more tension. My apologies, I didn't notice you come in. Your small stature and dark dress make you all but invisible to me. Oh, no, it's entirely my fault for wearing black, I'm sure.
From now on, you must dress in white from head to toe whenever you come here.
Now then, Mr. Naruto. Yes, my lord, I'm right here. Kill me now. Is something wrong? Perhaps it's a little too hot in here for you. Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I've never experienced a room that's such perfect temperature. If you're sure, the beads of sweat carving their way down your face seem to suggest otherwise. Because of the daggers you're staring at me with, mainly. As you're no doubt aware, my International Forensic Science Symposium begins tomorrow. In fact, your father arrived in London earlier today. Are you here, madam?
Oh, yes, that's right, my lord. He's extremely honored to have been invited.
I'll leave the remaining preparation for the meeting room in your capable hands then, Lord van Zeeks.
I will attend at once.
He gave you a very cold stare as he left, didn't he?
I know, but I haven't done anything, have I? These past few days, my feet have barely touched the ground, I must say. My dedicated right hand of many years was recently put out of action in spectacular fashion. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is your left hand still of service?
Mr. Naruto is talking about Dr. Saif.
Oh, of course. I'm terribly sorry about that. I was just, Fear not, you've done nothing wrong. Dr. Saif's own wrongdoing precipitated the situation. You needn't concern yourself with it any further. That would be a lot easier to do if it weren't for the piercing stare you're giving me. Lord van Zeeks is doing an admirable job of holding the fort. Though disturbingly, his apprentice has been missing since yesterday. Oh, missing?
What's become of Kazuma-sama now?
Well, we'll find out in a second, but I'm sorry guys, we have to check everything out. These very European seats of armor are still glaring at each other across the carpet, I see. In a way, they feel like guardians of the Lord Chief Justice's office.
I suppose they're rather like the lion dogs that guard shrines in Japan, aren't they?
Aren't they a bit too human to be called lion dogs?
Did you know that it's a dream of mine to keep 2 cats one day?
I feel as though we've gone off at a bit of a tangent, don't you? Alright. Good to know. As ever, the enormous clock is diligently maintaining its rhythmical tick-tock today.
Watching machinery at work can be quite mesmerizing, can't it? Ironically, you can completely forget the time. What I particularly enjoy is watching the enormous wheels of a steam locomotive turning. When I was a little girl, Grandmother often used to take me to watch the railway engines, you know.
It's an open fire for me. I could sit and watch the flames for hours.
Mr. Naruto, we could install one in the office. An enormous wheel, turned by an enormous steam engine.
Perhaps we could start with a simple fireplace? Just sitting behind a desk must make you feel so important, don't you think?
Would you like to have an office like this, Mr. Naruto, with such a grand desk?
Who, me? No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Well, imagine if you suddenly found yourself needing a toilet. You'd have so far to go.
how true. Perhaps important people who work in an ostentatious office like this have considered such things.
I'm going to take that as a compliment. Let's have a look at the shelves. You couldn't read all of these books even if you were reincarnated 6 times over as a bookworm. Can Lord Strongheart really have read all of these?
Thinking about it, Father studies full of books that look as though they've never been read too.
Oh, really?
Peddlers of books are forever pushing their wares on him, you see? And I think he's just too kind-hearted to refuse them.
There's a phrase for that in Britain. People would say they saw him coming.
It makes me wonder if perhaps the vast number of books on the shelves in here are a sign of Lord Strongheart's overwhelming kind-heartedness.
I'm not sure you could afford to have a kind heart if you had to keep Lord Von Zeeks in line, could you? Ah, sure. That is true. Okay, so no Lord Von Zeeks here. And nothing else here, right? So we checked everything out. Perfect. Okay. So we're gonna present stuff first. Could you show you this, Lord Strongheart?
I'm the Lord Chief Justice. I'm not here to offer advice about evidence.
Oh,
Especially when the evidence in question is so dull.
oh, so that's the real reason. Okay. What about the article? Okay, so we can skip that. We're gonna do that. Yep. Okay, so we skip that. Time to converse then. Let's converse about the Forensic Science Symposium.
Not long ago, visitor numbers to the Great Exhibition exceeded 30 million.
30 million? Are there even that many people in the world?
As a comparison, Mr. Naruto, the population of Imperial capital Tokyo is 2 million.
I will be opening the International Forensic Science Symposium in the exhibition's main auditorium. This event has been 2 years in the making. 2 years of preparations and negotiations with other countries.
It sounds like a tremendous achievement. Congratulations.
The 20th century will see the wholesale adoption of forensic investigation techniques, and cooperation between policing organizations around the globe will be essential. Which is why this landmark first symposium had to be hosted here at the heart of our great British Empire. In order that Scotland Yard can become the leading investigative organization in the New World.
Oh, that is... He's the same as ever, I see. The passion of his is quite something.
You are every bit as passionate in your own way, I'm sure, Mr. Naruto.
I'm the only person in this country who truly cares about a future that embraces forensic science. It was my intention to become Her Majesty's Attorney General and reform the art from the ground up. So the disgrace of the forensic investigation team has been a bitter blow to my ambitions.
The Forensic Investigation Team.
I first established the forensic investigation team a year ago, experimentally to start with. With Dr. Syed at the helm, it was steadily accruing an impressive record of achievement. I was on the verge of changing its name and elevating its status to full-blown forensic investigation department.
And can you not do that now?
Obviously, No one wants to hear anything about it at the moment. Even I can't keep the story out of the papers. 6 million Londoners will be cursing forensic science now. This incident will set back our country's advancement in the field by a good 10 years, I'd say.
Unintended repercussion of a trial.
We simply couldn't have overlooked what happened, though.
Of course not. We should all be grateful to you both. Anyway, I'll still reform this country's policing when I become Attorney General. This might delay my plans, but it won't alter them. Nothing will stand in my way.
The missing apprentice. Let's talk about that, Lord Stromheart. About Lord von Zieg's apprentice.
Ah yes, that came as a surprise to me, I must say, that you and he are old friends.
How did he become an apprentice to Lord von Zieg's in the first place?
It came about 3 months ago. An unidentified Asian man was apprehended by border police. They found him hiding aboard a large goods vessel.
Oh my! So he started a way to get here?
He had no papers to identify him, no passport, and he was suffering from amnesia too. Other than the fact he was clearly of Eastern descent, there were no clues as to who he was. So I decided to assign him to Lord von Zieg's. That way I could keep an eye on him.
But then, why the mask?
I didn't want to burden Lord von Zieg's with tiresome explanations about why he had an Eastern apprentice.
Because it'd be so much easier to explain why he was wearing a mask?
He's proving to be a great help to Lord von Zieg's. I have high hopes for this future.
By the way, do you know where he's gone?
No idea, but I believe he's left London for the time being.
Oh,
I take it you also didn't know that the man's father was one of our country's most infamous criminals. I mean,
Genshin Asogi. Kazuma's father's crimes. What we learned from the trial 8 days ago was a huge shock. Finding out my friend's father was...
ah yes, Genshin Asogi. The professor case 10 years ago caused a great stir here in Great Britain.
they were such awful murders, and unprecedented, using a ferocious dog as a murder weapon.
And no one would have believed the culprit was a foreign student invited to study here by the government. So the true identity of the killer couldn't be made public then, and can't be made public now. Nobody in your country knows it was him, and neither do the citizens of London.
The main motivation was to avoid aggravating relations between our two nations at the time. I understand.
Correct. However, it has to be noted that there was some supporters of the professor's apparent cause.
What? Supporters of a mass murderer?
The majority of the man's victims were obliged on the aristocracy of the day. Somewhat ironically, that has actually benefited society as a whole. Also, a fair few thinkers in London believed anyway.
Right, I see. But it was still murder, wasn't it?
It seems very similar, doesn't it? To the idea of the Reaper of the Bay.
Okay, so that's pretty much all we can do right now, huh? Because we already showed everything? Did I forget something? Because he's still standing there. And that makes me a little bit suspicious. So, better be safe than sorry, right? There's nothing here. Nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing here. Wait a second, there was something right now, wasn't there? No, it just seemed that way because the cursor was so high up. Okay. Okay. So, are we supposed to go back to the hotel then? Nope. Nobody here. Examining. Examining the hotel. Doesn't do anything at the moment. So let's go back to Sholmes' suite then.
Aha! Here's my guest now, my latest client with money to spend.
Oh, I do hope it's an exciting case, Hurley.
Remember, Iris, we are at present gripped by the greatest problem known to man. We must be willing to accept any case, no matter how stimulating, save locating a runaway, of course.
Don't spare anyone's feelings, will you?
Oh dear, I'm afraid that Hurley can lack a little tact, especially just before rent is due. Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Herlock Sholmes! Please, oh help! Please find my husband! He's run away!
To upset me?
I beg your pardon?
Never mind, a personal matter, my apologies. What exactly are you trying to say, Mr. Naruhodo?
I didn't say a word.
Come, my dear madam, be seated. Iris, some tea if you please.
Of course!
What's the matter, Mr. Sato?
Oh, it's just that gentlewoman. I feel sure I've seen her somewhere before. Very recently.
Yeah, she was one of the jurors in the last case. Yes, no, now you come to mention it.
As I explained earlier, my name is Evie Vigil.
Evie which ill? Evie... Wait a second, do we have her in the people record already? Evie Vigil. Evie Witch. So maybe Evil Witch? Play on words on Evil Witch. A client who has engaged the service of Mr. Sholmes. She has asked the great detective to help track down her missing husband.
I implore you to take the case, sir. Money is no object. Simply name your figure.
Money and wealth are a little of consequence to me, madam. Being offered a case to solve is reward enough.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you are the picture of benevolence.
I will of course make a mental note of your offer, however, for contingent reasons. I trust you will remember your words also.
If I might inquire, sir. This gentleman, Lady Whitby.
Oh, me?
What I am about to tell you, I should like to communicate in the strictest confidence, you understand?
Ah, these are my friends. I assure you, you may say before this pair anything which you may say to me.
Oh, I see.
I can vouch for the gentleman personally. After all, he's hard of hearing.
Why did I ever get my hopes up? So we can converse with her, but before we, just a second, just to be sure. Yeah, we checked everything, didn't we? Yeah, we did. Okay, so sorry. We're gonna present stuff to her first. Mrs. Vigil, would you mind casting your eyes over this?
Oh, my poor Daly, where have you gone? What's become of you? I'm afraid she's too worried about her husband to pay any attention, Mr. Naruto.
Either that, or she just doesn't want to be bothered with me. Also with the newspaper? Yeah, no, we can skip that. Okay. Sorry, guys, but I want to be thorough. You know me. Okay. Mrs. Vigil, let's talk about you. Forgive me for asking, Miss Vigil, but have we met somewhere before? Quite recently, perhaps?
Oh, my!
Pshaw, my dear fellow, what is your intention? Clearly you have no ability to differentiate the facial features of the English. If you wish to invite the lady to tea, you must do so in a more gentlemanly fashion.
Is it possible that you're the nice young lawyer from the trial I attended last week?
I knew I recognized her.
To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine.
I didn't quite recognize her because she's acting so differently now.
It must be very difficult for you as a lawyer, being hard of hearing, I mean.
Pardon?
Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Don't worry if you can't hear. It was February really, nothing more.
Now look what you've started, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you very much.
I believe it would be prudent for you to sit quietly in the corner.
Yes. What about Mr. Vigil?
Tell us about your husband, madam.
Mr. Vigil, my daily, is 40 years of age. I have a photograph here.
An entirely unremarkable gentleman, by appearance at least. How long have you been married?
It will be 15 years this year. We have a cordial relationship, and my husband's income is more than adequate, so we live quite comfortably.
As it would appear. I need only look at you to know these things.
Oh gosh.
Your dress is the latest style, your hair clearly regularly groomed, and your eyes are animated. In short, you have no inkling as to why your husband might have disappeared, correct?
That's right. He's a kind man with a strong sense of loyalty, and he rather dotes on me.
Which would point to the possibility that he has become embroiled in some incident or other.
Oh, that is exactly what I fear must have happened. Mr. Sholmes, I'm quite beside myself. My husband's employment is somewhat unusual, you see. What if he's incurred some miscreants? Oh well.
What exactly is your husband's line of work?
He's a warder at the prison.
A guard? That is somewhat unusual. Prison warder.
So, your husband is a prison warder?
That's right, yes. Well, in actual fact, he's the chief warder.
Indeed, I see. Well, chief prison warder certainly qualifies as something of a specialist occupation.
Yes, it does indeed. My poor husband must prepare those dreadful punishments and see that they are carried out.
Dreadful punishments? Does she mean capital punishments?
And at such times, he must occasionally spend a night or two in the prison dormitory. But for that extra responsibility, he is remunerated more handsomely than other warders. Of course, we make no mention of my husband's work to the neighbors.
Yes, I believe your prudence is justified. Tell me, at what prison is your husband engaged?
Berkeley Prison, Mr. Sholmes.
Really, Berkeley? Oh, a fine establishment. If I'm not mistaken, there is a large cemetery just behind it.
Yes, that's correct. Lowgate Cemetery.
No. Lowgate Cemetery? The very place we were discussing in court. That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable, my dear fellow, and yet undeniable.
Sorry, Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid you've lost me.
Ah, pay no heed, madam. Pay no heed. A private matter.
This can't really be a coincidence, can it? What about your husband's disappearance, my lady?
So, to the matter of your husband's disappearance. When did you realize he was missing?
Please try not to laugh. It was yesterday.
I'm sorry, yesterday?
That really is recent, laughably so.
The truth is, my husband does at times have occasion to spend the night away for his work. It's not all out of the ordinary for him not to return home at night, but this is different. For him not to make any contact for a whole day, that has certainly never happened before. Oh, my dear Daly, whatever can have happened?
My dear Miss Vigil, please, Mrs. Vigil, please calm yourself. Now then, have you contacted the police?
Why, naturally, but sadly, they refuse to listen to my pleas as my husband has only been missing for 1 day. I was asked to wait patiently at home.
In truth, Mrs. Widgel, sorry guys. Mrs. Widgel, I concur with the police. Dale Widgel. Just a second, I think... However, let us not be hasty. Before we do that, just a second, because if his name Daily Widgel... okay. Because, now I get it. It's for Eve, for afternoon Eve. And this is Daily Widgel. Evie Widgel. Okay, so she's like the night and he is the day. That's clever. And Widgel is just like solemn Widgel, to be awake. Okay, I finally get it. Okay, I finally get it.
However, let us not be hasty. I see no reason why we should not engage my deductive powers to track your husband down anyway.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
And furthermore, let me assure you, the chance to solve the greatest problem known to man for another month has no bearing on my decision. I seek only to put a sweet smile on another Londoner's face. That's really all there is to it.
You have my eternal gratitude. I shall pay any sum you care to mention.
You seek only to put the suit's rent in your landlady's purse. That's all there is to it.
Thank you for everything you have shared with us, Mrs. Widgel. I believe I have all the information I need to begin my investigation.
Oh, please report to me soon with good news, sir.
Fear not, madam. In a day or two, I shall be contacting you with a heartening report, I'm quite sure.
So soon? Oh, how splendid, Mr. Sholmes.
Good news should be delivered early, I always say. If you would be so kind as to leave the photograph of your husband in my possession.
The photograph of Mr. Widgel has been entered into the court record. Photograph of Mr. Widgel. A photographic print received from Mrs. Widgel in order to aid with locating her missing husband. He appears to have no particularly distinctive facial features.
Thank you. Now, allow me to show you the door.
I can't thank you enough, Mr. Sholmes. You've been simply marvelous. You know, I think it every time, Hurley. But how do you come out with such nonsense? Good news in a day or two? Are you sure?
I can't be sure, of course, but then I didn't swear in it. I merely gave the good woman some hope. I hope to be able to give her good news, one might say. After all, the rent must be paid by the end of the day tomorrow. If by that time I've successfully located Mr. Widgel, we shall be mutually relieved. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruto?
Don't look at me with those pleading eyes.
Well, my dear fellow, did you hear the details of the case?
Yes, my hearing is surprisingly good, actually.
Excellent. And what did you make of it?
Well, I was surprised to learn where her husband worked. At Barclay Prison, I mean.
Ah, so you noted that.
Of course, especially with the mention of Lowgate Cemetery.
Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison. So it was renowned among the students at the university for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts. Sorry.
Barclay Prison is where that notorious man was incarcerated.
The professor.
And now a warder from the prison has mysteriously disappeared, it would seem.
It's all very peculiar.
Indeed. But nothing you can't handle, I'm quite certain, Mr. Naruhodo.
Sorry?
Run along to the prison and see what you can glean, would you? It's the prison governor you want. No doubt the man is equally worried.
But aren't you going to go yourself?
Surely you needn't ask. I can't possibly be seen out with his hair.
Can't be seen. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're such a character. Oh, incredible. This is so. Sorry, guys. I love this game, guys. I love this game. Okay, but didn't you go to Lime Street with that hair?
That was a quite different matter. So I leave it in your capable hands. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm rather busy.
Of course you are. Well, and he's gone. Before we do anything, is Iris here? Can we talk to Iris? No, we can't talk to Iris. Just to be sure, and Mr. Sholmes is not here either. So we're gonna move. And we can go to the prison governor's office, which we are going to do. But guys, you know what's... Oh, Barclay prison is on the outskirts of London, backing into a lonely burial ground. Its four high outer walls loomed quietly before us in the fog. Having requested a meeting, we were shown to the governor's office in the watchtower. Here we are. Oh, the guillotine here too. Okay, but as I just wanted to clarify, we have reached the half-hour mark. And I think this is a very good opportunity to end this episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Resolve. If you want to know what the governor has to tell us, you'll have to tune in next time. See you then.